speaking of people that were banned off of television, I got to talk about this before we get into the television shows that should have been banned this week. As Mama Cornette used to say, like a bad penny, he turned up. The person who has not been seen since instigating the fiasco that, when history is written, will have led to the direct downfall of Tony Khan and his collection of action figures. Jungle Jack has turned up again, has shown his face out in public, such as it is, and basically it debuted in a surprise attack. So shocking. A guy in a mask and dressed in black comes over the rail. Never seen that before. For New Japan Pro Wrestling. Brian, you guys over in the wrestling news department and your Shutting Up and Wrestling program, you're covering this fluid situation, aren't you? What do we know about the reemergence of Jungle Jack-Off?
Well, there was so much going on that night too. There was a TNA pay-per-view, there was Collision, there was Battle of the Belts, and then there's other things, and then there's this New Japan show, which was in the United States, and Jack Perry shows up, which I don't think was. I mean, I certainly did not see this coming. I don't know if maybe it was just because I was down with the flu that I didn't have my finger on the pulse as I normally do.
You were down with the sickness?
Yes, exactly. Something like that. But I think that the minute that he showed up and tore up the AEW contract in the ring with the giant AEW logo on it, I just remember seeing everybody on right.
Megan, do you think that Megan and all the staff that would have been in charge when he signed his contract, do you think they had all their contracts drawn up with a 4-inch tall AEW logo on the top of the front page?
I think that's
standard in business, isn't it?
Yeah, that's standard for the industry, clearly. And other people were saying, well, if it was that easy to do, I mean, God, think about all the other people that would just tear the contract up and just that's it. Okay, I can go back now, But I think, part of me was thinking, clearly it's a work, obviously, because you've got New Japan working with All Elite Wrestling and all that stuff. But part of me was thinking, well, if it had been a real situation, it wouldn't have been that he got out of his contract because he physically tore up the paper in the ring. It could have been that maybe the company had released him for, whatever reason. God knows they had reasons. And then he was doing this performative act as a way of kind of like showing the world that he was done with the company. I don't know.
He's a rebel too, Brian. He's a rebel and he'll never be any good. He's a rebel and he'll never do what he should, 'cause he wears leather and has long stringy hair and a famous dad. But nevertheless, that's the tearing up of the contract, of course, is symbolic to the demented minds that are following this, and New Japan's half-empty American building, wherever it may have been or whatever. And then also, you didn't mention, he also had a black armband with white writing, "Scapegoat."
Right.
So he's
yes.
He's clearly designed to play the victim in this melodrama. And and otherwise, he's grown his beard out. Is he trying to look like an adult now? The first time that fucking Jack Perry had to shave. Oh my God. He was so excited he could hardly contain himself because he was in fucking a senior year of high school. But he's grown his scraggly beard out and he's wearing, I don't know, was he dressed like Fidel Castro? Is his new gimmick Homeless Jack? And he, because of his being suspended since the 1st of September, he's been living in a cardboard box under an overpass? Is that, or did he go back to the jungle and now he's communing with the apes? I've heard that a human being, if done right, can commune with an ape. I think Jane Goodall communed for years, didn't she? But nevertheless, so what is his gimmick? He's a homeless bum that came over the fucking rail and beat the shit out of some guy in New Japan and tore up his contract. No, I don't think Tony has released him. because Tony never releases anybody. I'm sure this guy sabotaged their biggest show ever and fucking directly led to Tony having to fire his biggest star ever, which gave the WWE one of their biggest stars in years ever. And so he sent him home, but he's still been paying him.
Right.
Nobody said anything about you're suspended without pay, because then old Jungle Jackoff would have been suing, because after some point in time you need to shit or get off the pot. But Tony never does that. Every time somebody fucks up, he sends them home and sends them their check not to fucking be around him, so he has to confront it. So now after 4 full months, maybe Tony say, you know what, I'm still mad at you. Or you look at all this shit that he directly caused, that Jungle Jack directly caused to be said, the domino effect of their business, all this embarrassment. So Tony's probably said, well, you go wrestle for New Japan. And he's still paying him. I'm sure. Somebody prove me wrong, and I'll admit it right here on the air in front of Jungle Jack and everybody. But until then, I'm sure Tony Khan is paying this fucking asshole that sabotaged his business, tried to on more than one occasion, finally did. And now he's saying, well, go wrestle for New Japan because, that way I don't have to deal with this. And, that's... And again, he's going to act like he's the scapegoat to all these fucking smart marks with their heads stuck up their ass. That's my assessment of Jungle Jack Perry's debut for New Japan. So he can be over there with these similar-minded individuals doing mindless gymnastics and dumb shit, and let the guy that was fired from the goddamn Toledo Mud Hens because of him go on to fucking be the star hitter for the New York Yankees. I'm sorry, Brian Last, the Mets.
Wait a minute. It's Brian Solomon now. Listen, the people...
I sent that to Brian Last, who is going to listen to this.
Oh, yes, true. I was going to say, people are confused enough as it is. You got to make sure you keep the name straight. But yeah.
You should. Did you speak to your mother about giving you somebody else's name?
And by the way, I grew up a Mets fan, too, so that's why I thought maybe you might have been. I mean, it could have worked both ways. My grandfather converted me into a Yankees fan, but, I grew up a Mets fan.
Well, it's still baseball.
It is,
and that's something that Jungle Jack better remember. It's still goddamn baseball.
Yeah, and I think, for a split second, when I saw him pop up and I saw people talking about it, for a split second, I didn't think he'd been released, because like you said, I don't think anybody gets fired over there. But for a second, I thought
he'd been arrested.
Well, I thought maybe it's possible. I was thinking that maybe he had walked out voluntarily. Maybe he had said, you know what? Maybe he had felt the pressure of all of this that he had wrought, and he, felt bad about it, or felt kind of responsible, and just took his ball and went home, kind of a thing. I thought for a moment, but then when he took out two things, when he took out the giant contract, and then also knowing that it was New Japan, that that the two companies work together. If it had been some completely random, although I mean I shouldn't say that because they have AEW wrestlers popping up in completely random indies all the time, but very quickly it became apparent. They have
completely random indies popping up all the time on AEW television. It works both ways.
There you go.
But nevertheless, and so the point is also, I guess now he's roughened up around the edges. He's got the beard, he's got the hair, he's got the frumpy clothes and the grubby attire, and that's going to show that he's tough.
He's a jungle man. That's what he is.
Well, and not only that, but because he's been made the scapegoat, because he's been made the scapegoat, I'm sure that has hardened him mentally and put him through all kinds of stress and agony, and you can tell, but he hasn't had a good night's sleep, Brian. Hadn't had a good night's sleep in probably weeks and weeks and weeks because of all the worry and the frustration over where his next check was coming from. Wait a minute. He knew it was going to come every week in his mailbox. But I guarantee you he hadn't been sleeping good. And here's why. Because he doesn't listen to our program. That's obvious, or he would have learned something. and he doesn't know to go to the people at Helix Mattress. Now, I know you're here, you're new on the program here, Solomon Grundy, but you certainly, because of your relationship with the Arcadian Vanguard Network family, you have a Helix mattress somewhere in and around your vicinity, maybe out on the back porch.
Oh, plenty of them, yes. Yeah,
Well,
they're all over the house.
You have a mattress in every room of the house.
Yeah, it's like Princess and the Pea. I just stack them up.
Well, I'm certainly not going to ask about your particular preferences or picadillos, but there are at least 2 rooms in my house I don't have a mattress in. But folks, if you'd like a mattress in every room of your house, you can't pick a better one than the Helix Sleep mattresses over there. Because we've been talking about our fine friends over at Helix for years. And so many of the fans have written in and said that they have slept like sleeping in a cloud, like sleeping in the arms of a baby or something like that.
That doesn't sound...
Sleeping. Do you sleep in a baby's arms?
I wouldn't want to sleep in the arms of a baby.
Rolling in my sweet baby's arms, rolling in my sweet baby's arms. But it doesn't say anything about sleeping.
That sounds dangerous, though.
But if you have a baby sleeping in your arms, well, throw the thing on a Helix Sleep mattress, because the baby will be more comfortable and you won't get a bad back. And every Helix Elite mattress comes with a 15-year manufacturer warranty. Every Helix regular mattress comes with a 10-year warranty. They've all got the 100-night free risk trial. That means you can try out any type of risky behavior on these mattresses for 100 nights and you won't catch anything. And furthermore, Helix supports the military and the first responders, the teachers and the students. They get a special discount. And I wonder if that includes sex professionals, because actually they're using the Helix mattresses and giving lessons to the various clients they have in proper technique and positioning.
I don't think they give lessons, though, do they? I mean, I wouldn't know from experience.
Well, no, that's a separately contracted situation there. You have to ask for that from a different location.
Okay.
But you should never have to compromise on comfort. And that's why Helix has the mattress with the cooling technology that helps regulate your body temperature. This thing will cool you down where you will look like a body in a morgue. I mean, you start turning blue. It's and shivering. And then finally, when you get down to about 72 degrees, then they can use you for human sushi presentation. Have you ever seen that, Brian? Stace and I were up in New York City, and this club owner invited us in to observe the naked sushi. The girl has to lay there almost motionless, or elsewise all the shit falls off, and then it's a messy presentation.
Right.
But apparently it's a highly paid. She was making more money than I was, and I was making a lot of money at the time.
Well, I thought anyway, when you said human sushi that it was like sushi in the shape of a human body or something.
No, you have to pay it at a completely different extra fee for that at a completely different company than Helix. They got out of the dead body sushi business long ago when they got approved by the Better Business Bureau. But all you got to do, folks, is go to helixsleep.com, HELIX sleep.com, and you take the quiz, and they just ask you a bunch of probing personal questions until finally they figure out the exact mattress that you want, and then they send it to you. And you get to try it out for a while, and if you're a real prick and don't like it, you can send it back, and they'll give you your money back because they're way, way too nice over there at Helix for my thoughts. But nevertheless, I can save you some money, and I'll tell you how. I don't know about Solomon over there, but I've got connections. And if you go to helixsleep.com/JCE and use the code HelixPartner20, then you're going to get 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. helixsleep.com/JCE. Use the code HelixPartner20, 20% off all the mattress orders and 2 free pillows. With the 2 free pillows, it makes all the difference. If you've got somebody that you'd like to silence, they go to sleep on one, you put the other one over the top of them.
No.
About 3 minutes, and you're right as rain.
I don't think the Helix people really bargained for all this. First sexual training, now you're advocating murder. I don't know if that's really what their product is designed for. I mean, I can't speak for them.
Copy. You got different copy, Brian. You got last week's copy. They've changed.
Maybe that's what. Hey, I'm new here, Jim. So if you want to smother somebody with a pillow, I mean, fine, whatever.
They changed their whole business plan in the last week, and they've come out with a new line now. We're going in a different direction, kids. Anyway, folks, HelixSleep.com/JCE. Use the code HelixPartner20. Use your own judgment with how to do this, but you'll get 20% off all the mattress orders and 2 free pillows to do with as you will. Hopefully you're fine folks out there and you won't stray too far to the dark side.